How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Massachusetts B, the Tier 7 Premium Black Friday battleship. Now, it's been a while since I've actually done one of these commentaries. This game was one that I played off stream, and well, I decided what better ship to do another commentary in than the Massachusetts. This one I think was relatively special because at the end, well, I don't want to spoil everything, but it does come down to some thinking and figuring out where a destroyer is when it's a 1 versus 1, and how we basically figured out where he was going, and well, let's just say we ended up winning. So we got the right spawn here, and usually I never abandon a flank, and since I'm in a secondary battleship, I'm trying to push in. Now, I am using a slightly different build than I normally do. Usually I have Optimus Prime with a secondary build using Hipper and Haruna as inspirations, also using Running with Scissors, but in this one I've actually swapped out Haruna for Enrique Fernandez, which gives a little more main battery range and also secondary range. So our secondaries are now 11.2 versus Haruna's 11.1, and then our firing range combined Enrique Fernandez and the Epic Battle Booster, we have 18 kilometers, so any HE spam kiting cruisers, we can sort of retaliate. They still outrange us by quite a bit because of beyond range and all of the skills that they can stack, but having that little more range does allow us to retaliate and sometimes deal damage to them rather than us just simply being farmed. You will see in this battle though, since we are using Running with Scissors and also the Epic Secondary mod, which was changed to give you the bonus every 30,000 damage, our dispersion isn't exactly that great. We're going to shoot at the Eastern Dragon a whole lot, and well, let's just say the salvos were disappointing. But that's kind of what you expect with a secondary battleship and you're not building into accuracy for the main guns. Your secondaries will be a little better, but your main guns will suffer a bit, and the hope is that if you push in enough, your secondaries can help pick up the slack. Now, looking at the map, there is an enemy battleship pushing into Bravo, which is going to be creating a crossfire on us when their enemy tier pits is sitting in their spawn. This Eastern Dragon has honestly gotten away with so much dumb stuff, just sitting flat broadside parking, and well, unfortunately our accuracy when we shot at him wasn't that great. Hoping our teammates can finish him, because the last thing we want is for his HE spam to take out our secondary turrets and render our secondary build relatively useless. Now, an Atlantico secondaries are definitely a very big threat to us because the 234s not only have a huge fire chance, but with its quarter pen, it's able to pen our upper belt and deck, and also bow, stern, superstructure. So in addition to the fires that it's going to cause, it will deal a lot of pen damage. So we can't let this battleship stay alive and allow his secondaries to farm us. And as you can see, his secondaries are coming in at us, so we are definitely focused instead of any of the other ships around us. He is also, like I said, the one creating a crossfire, so getting rid of him is going to be very important. I focus my secondaries on him, and he is going to be my main target. Now, getting rid of the Atlantico will allow us to start pushing again, because it kind of slowed down our push, and now the battleship and cruiser that was in front of us, the Tier Pits and Eastern Dragon, they are now starting to kite away, moving towards Bravo spawn, and once we get rid of this Atlantico, we can actually start pushing towards them again. If we kept pushing towards the Tier Pits and Eastern Dragon, that Atlantico creating the crossfire would have just simply had our broadside and absolutely smashed us. Now, once he does go down, we are staying spotted from the Eastern Dragon, and we did see some shells coming in from over the island in front of us. And, well, that's enemy Helena, and we don't really want to stay being farmed by him. I don't want to damage con a single fire, and since the Eastern Dragon is within our detection, since our detection goes up by 2 kilometers whenever we're on fire, we just simply shoot at him and try to push towards the Helena and put that island close enough where his shells can't lob, although that will be fairly difficult because American light cruisers have those very high floaty arcs, which generally will lob most islands. The enemy Helena that was farming us is paying attention to the map and realized that there are a ton of ships pushing towards him, so he starts sailing away, kiting away to get out of dodge because, well, as a light cruiser that is overmatched by every battleship in this game, well, you don't really want to stay out in the open where everything can shoot you. We do notice now that we are unspotted, and this is actually a really good time to start pushing in again. Since we're not spotted, we can probably take some pot shots at whatever we can and honestly deal free damage. Although the Helena does move far enough where if we shot at him, our shells would actually hit the island. And now it's just the enemy Tirpitz and Eastern Dragon again out in front of us. Unfortunately, the Tirpitz got spotted first and I shot just as the Eastern Dragon showed up. I definitely would have liked to have shot at him and gotten rid of him, although we do have some friendly ships taking care of that for us, and the Eastern Dragon finally goes down. We do need to be careful because the Eastern Dragon, as a Japanese cruiser, does have torpedoes that are relatively long range, and if we keep pushing towards where he died, chances are there may be torpedoes reaching us as we enter the maximum range of their torpedoes. I believe it's either 10 or 11 kilometers. So we're going to keep pushing in here as the Tirpitz runs away, and we're just going to keep shooting him because as we push in, we see the enemy team pushing in from Alpha, and if we don't kill the Tirpitz fast enough, well, we'll be in a crossfire once again. Now, during this time that we were pushing the enemy Tirpitz and Eastern Dragon, our friendly destroyers actually went into Bravo to cap the objective. They did a really good job of doing their job, playing the objective, although now the enemy Helena that actually ran away from us is charging in straight at them, which honestly isn't very good. Helena is honestly healthy enough that he can probably take care of both of our destroyers, so we need to do all we can to get rid of him. I use my secondary button, and I'm also going to try to shoot him with the salvo that's reloading. It loads just before he gets behind the island. We fire our front guns, and the shells land at the water, although I do think I underled a little. We get one pen and a bunch of overpens, and unfortunately the Helena does survive that and ends up killing our destroyers, and now it's a 2 versus 5. Not looking very good for our team. We are not only at a ship disadvantage, but we are also down on points. Now we do have 2 caps, which is in our favor, although being down on this many ships, that might not actually matter. We do need to kill the enemy Tirpitz to make the points a little closer, and also get rid of the enemy ships, because I think at this point, with an enemy Udachi on the other team, we might actually have to end up killing all of them. The last time the Udachi was spotted was south of A, torping all of our friendly battleships that spawned over there. And, well, we haven't really spotted him ever since then, and that's been quite a while ago. The enemy Tirpitz reaches the border, and he's actually turning in, which is honestly great for us, because instead of riding the border, gliding in a perpendicular sideways movement, our dispersion was pretty good, and a lot of shells land, and we kill him off, which now allows us to just focus on the enemy Kansas and the enemy York that is in Bravo, since he was last spotted entering the cap. Not sure if the enemy Udachi is also with him at this point, but if he is, we do need to be careful, because if he comes around the corner to YOLO us, we'll probably just end up dying. I am contemplating shooting this Kansas because it looks like the York is trying to slow down. Although, at the last second, he does finally start speeding up a little, but then again, he starts slowing down, so he peeked around the corner just enough for us to actually shoot at him. I aim a little lower than his ship and actually aim into the water, hoping our shells actually arm when they hit the water and travel far enough to enter the citadel, and that's exactly what happens. If we didn't do that, we probably would have just overpenned and he would have survived. Now that it's a 2 versus 2, something to take note of is that the enemy destroyer is now capping Charlie, so we are safe to push in. The enemy York torps pass in front of us, so we know we are safe from any sort of torpedo threat. Now we just need to try and kill this Kansas before he kills off our friendly Bismarck, because that's really the only way we could possibly win by capping or on points. If our Bismarck survives, he could go and cap A while I cap Bravo, and we could try to flip points in that way. Although, since they're going to have 3 caps, 2 0, their points are going to start stacking very quickly. Bismarck is also on very low HP, and I don't really think he's going to survive. We've just passed the 150,000 damage mark, which means we've maxed out our secondaries, and I could use my secondary button right now to help kill off the Kansas, although I have a feeling that, well, if we have an opportunity to actually use it against the destroyer, it might actually be more beneficial to save it. Now, a little while ago, those Udachi torpedoes got spotted and we had to move forward to dodge them, which I think was unfortunate for the Bismarck since he requested for support. I'm assuming he had will to rebuild, but those torpedoes made us go forward, and ultimately the Bismarck did die. I do think the nerf to will to rebuild wouldn't have been able to save him this time. He was already very low, and well, as an enemy Kansas having 12 guns, probably using gyrating drill bits, Bismarck probably would have died in one salvo anyway, because now will to rebuild restores saturation damage. Now, we were just spotted very briefly for a couple of seconds now, and we're trying to figure out which side it came from. The Udachi shoots at us, and that's honestly a mistake, so we decide to start turning in. We do eat one torpedo, but that's not the end of the world. We eat it on the belt, and it deals reduced damage. But knowing where those torps came from and seeing where those shots came from, we know that the destroyer was moving left. I think his idea was to try and get us to keep pushing towards where the enemy torpedoes came from because of the threat for another torpedo salvo, or at least the second set since that was only one. But instead of pushing that way, I think I can catch the enemy Udachi going left, because he's probably going to try to torp us from another angle, and torping from the bow on probably isn't the best idea, and our only chance at this point is to win by killing the enemy destroyer, and that's exactly what the enemy destroyer did. He went around to the left and was trying to get another angle to torp us, and saving the secondary button honestly was a great idea because we get to use it, especially because he was charging bow in. We get a bunch of secondary hits, smash him with our main guns, and our secondaries, since they were max, were loaded in 3.6 seconds, and they do finish him off. All that destroyer really needed to do was run away, and they would have won on points because they had 2 caps and they were already leading on points. There wasn't that much time left as well, and well, we somehow win that, being down 5 ships to 2. And yeah, that was honestly a really fun game because we got to push in, make use of our secondaries, deal a lot of damage, and also just win. Now that's pretty much it for this video. I do show the build, but I think nowadays I've actually switched back to Haruna instead of Enrique Fernandez, mainly because as a secondary inspiration, I'd rather have the 15% dispersion instead of 0.1 kilometers more for range. It is nice to have the main battery range, but I do think having that dispersion does make a huge difference. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, and share it with your friends, or join us during our streams. Hit that bell so you get the notification. And until then, have a good day, and I will hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until next time, aloha.